3 days later, the human ship appeared on Nara's scanners. It was a strange-looking vessel, not sleek and curved like most alien ships, but angular and blocky. Like someone had welded metal boxes together. The humans called it the Unity, and it looked like it had been built by engineers who cared more about function than beauty. Nara stood in the docking bay, waiting for the humans to come aboard. She had prepared a standard greeting for first contact with new species, but her hands were shaking. She still did not know what she was going to tell them about meeting their apex predator. The airlock opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure, and 5 humans walked out. They were exactly as the reports had described them, small, bipedal creatures, with soft pink skin and strange hair growing only on the tops of their heads. They wore simple clothing and moved with a casual confidence that seemed odd for creatures entering an alien ship. The first human stepped forward and made a gesture that their databases said was called a Bo Ambassador Ji-hoon. He said in their simple language, which Nara's translator converted into words she could understand. "We are honored to meet you, Commander." Nara returned the bow as best she could with her different body structure. "Welcome to the Stellar Dawn," she said. "I am Commander Nara of the Galactic Council. These are historic moments for both our species." Behind Ambassador Ji-hoon, the other humans introduced themselves. Dr. Soyoung, a small female with curious eyes who kept looking around the docking bay with obvious interest. Captain Minho, who stood like a soldier but seemed relaxed engineer. Haijin, who was already studying the technical details of the ship's construction, and Young-ho, who they described simply as a specialist. Nara noticed that Young-ho did not say much, but his eyes seemed to see everything. He watched the security cameras, tracked the positions of her crew members, and took note of every exit from the docking bay. It was the kind of behavior she had seen in professional scouts, and it made her slightly nervous. "Please follow me to the diplomatic meeting room," Nara said. "We have much to discuss." As they walked through the ship's corridors, the humans asked questions about the technology they were seeing. Dr. Soyoung wanted to know how the artificial gravity worked. Engineer Haijin was interested in the power systems. Captain Minho asked polite questions about ship security. Young-ho remained silent, but Nara could feel him watching everything. The diplomatic meeting room was designed to make alien species feel welcome. It had adjustable lighting and atmosphere control seats that could accommodate different body types and walls that showed peaceful scenes from various worlds. Nara had chosen images of forests and oceans, thinking the humans might find them familiar. "Please sit," Nara said, gesturing to the chairs. The humans arranged themselves around the table, with Ambassador Ji-hoon taking the central position. The others spread out in a way that looked casual but reminded Nara of military positioning. "Commander Nara." Ambassador Ji-hoon began. "We understand this is first contact between our species. We are grateful for this opportunity to join the galactic community." Nara nodded. "Yes, the Galactic Council is always pleased to welcome new civilizations. However, we must follow certain protocols before formal recognition can occur." "What kind of protocols?" Dr. Soyoung asked. "Standard procedures for evaluating new species," Nara explained. "We need to understand your society, your technology level, and your planet's ecosystem. Most importantly, we need to meet with your world's apex predator. This is required for all first contacts." The humans looked at each other with expressions that Nara could not read. There seemed to be some kind of silent communication happening between them. Finally, Ambassador Ji-hoon spoke. "Commander, I think there may be some confusion about what you are asking for." Nara felt relieved. Maybe the translation was wrong. Maybe they could clear this up quickly. "Every inhabited world has a dominant predator species," she explained, "the creature that sits at the top of the food chain. We must pay our respects to this being before establishing diplomatic relations." "But Commander," Dr. Soyoung said slowly, "Earth's apex predator is already here." Nara felt her blood turn cold. She looked around the room, frantically scanning for threats. Her ship's sensors had detected no dangerous life forms, but maybe they had missed something. Maybe the humans had brought some kind of camouflage creature aboard. "Where?" Nara demanded, reaching for her emergency communicator. "Where is it?" Captain Minho's expression became very serious. "Commander, you are looking at them." The words made no sense to Nara. She stared at the 5 humans sitting calmly around the table. They looked exactly the same as they had when they entered, harmless and weak, and completely non-threatening. "I do not understand," she said. Young-go finally spoke. His voice was quiet and calm, like someone explaining something obvious. We are Earth's apex predator, Commander. We humans are the dominant hunting species on our planet Naras. Translator must be broken. The words it was producing could not possibly be correct. These small, soft creatures could not be apex predators. She had seen the real predators of Earth in her files. The tigers with their sharp teeth and powerful muscles, the sharks with rows of deadly teeth, the bears that could tear apart metal with their claws. That is impossible, Nara said, trying to keep her voice steady. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no speed advantages. The creatures we observed on your planet are far more dangerous than you are. Ambassador Ji-hoon leaned forward slightly. There may be a misunderstanding about how predation works, Commander. We humans have been the dominant hunters on Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. We have killed and consumed more species than any other creature on our planet, but you are so small, Nara protested, and weak, and you have no claws or fangs. Dar Soyoung smiled, and for the first time, Nara noticed something unsettling about the expression. Commander, human hunting strategies are different from what you might expect. We do not rely on physical strength or natural weapons. Then how do you hunt? Nara? We use tools, Captain Minho said simply, and we use our minds. We plan and we coordinate and we never give up. Nara felt dizzy. This was not making sense. Tools were for building things, not for hunting, and planning was what prey animals did to avoid predators, not what predators did to catch prey. Commander, Young Ho said still in that quiet voice, would you like us to show you how humans hunt? Show. And Minera repeated a demonstration. Dr. Soyoung clarified, so you can understand what we mean when we say we are apex predators. Nara's hand moved to her communicator. She could call for security backup right now. Her ship had weapon systems that could stop any threat, but the humans just sat there looking patient and somehow confident in a way that made her very nervous. What kind of demonstration? She asked. Whatever would convince you that we qualify as your planet's dominant predator. Ambassador Ji-hoon said, would you prefer a historical presentation or something more practical? Historical, Nara said quickly. Historical would be safer. Engineer Hai-jin reached into her bag and pulled out a small device. The humans call this a holographic projector. She said, would it be acceptable to use this to show you human hunting methods? Nara nodded, though she was not sure why the idea of seeing human hunting methods was making her feel scared. Dr. Soyoung activated the device, and suddenly the air above the table filled with images of ancient humans hunting massive creatures across vast grasslands. Nara watched in growing horror as she realized what she was seeing. These early humans were not fighting their prey in direct combat. They were following them, walking steadily behind huge animals for days and days, never stopping, never giving up, just walking and walking until the massive beasts collapsed from exhaustion. Then the humans killed them with sharp sticks. That is persistence hunting. Captain Minho explained, most predators use speed or strength for quick kills. We use endurance. We can walk or run for longer than almost any other animal on Earth. We simply follow our prey until it cannot run anymore. The hologram changed to show humans developing better tools. Spears became throwing weapons, which became bows, and arrows, which became firearms. Nara watched humans killing creatures 10 times their size from distances where the prey could not fight back. This is not fair hunting, Nara said weakly. Fair hunting, Young Ho repeated like the words meant nothing to him. Commander, humans do not hunt fairly. We hunt successfully. The hologram showed more scenes, humans killing massive predators like cave bears and saber-toothed cats, humans spreading across continents and leaving trails of extinct species behind them wherever they went. Humans developing agriculture and domesticating other animals and reshaping entire ecosystems to serve their needs. We did not just hunt for food, Ambassador Ji-hoon explained. We eliminated anything that competed with us or threatened us. If an animal might someday attack a human, we hunted it until there were no more left. Nara stared at the images floating above the table. She was beginning to understand something terrible. These humans had not become apex predators by being stronger or faster than other hunters. They had become apex predators by being more patient and more thorough and more willing to completely destroy anything that stood in their way. Commander, Dr. Soyoung said gently, do you understand now why we say we are Earth's apex predator? Nara looked at the 5 humans sitting around her table. They still looked small and harmless, but now she was beginning to see something else. In their eyes, something patient and calculating and completely without mercy. Yes, she whispered, I think I'm starting to understand. The stars look different from up here, Commander Nara thought as she stared out the window of her ship. The endless black space with tiny dots of light had always made her feel small, but today, something else was bothering her. She had been watching Earth for 3 months now, and nothing made sense about this strange blue planet. Her ship, the Stellar Dawn, was one of the most advanced vessels in the Galactic Council fleet. It had sensors that could detect a mouse from orbit and weapons that could crack a moon in half, but for all its power, it could not answer one simple question: what was Earth's apex predator? Nara walked away from the window and sat down at her desk. The reports were scattered everywhere like fallen leaves, each one told the same confusing story. Humans were the dominant species on Earth, but they looked nothing like apex predators. She had studied predators from 100 worlds, and they all had the same things: sharp teeth for tearing, flesh claws for catching prey, thick skin or armor for protection, fast muscles for chasing down victims. Humans had none of these things. She picked up one report and read it again. Humans averaged about 1.7 meters tall, which was tiny compared to most predators. Their skin was soft and thin like paper. They had flat teeth that looked better for eating plants than meat. Their fingers ended in tiny nails that could barely scratch anything. Their muscles were weak compared to the great hunters of other worlds. But somehow these weak creatures had taken over an entire planet. Nara called up the video files on her computer screen and watched footage of human cities. Millions of the strange creatures lived together in massive stone and metal structures. They had built roads that stretched across continents and flying machines that could cross oceans. She had to admit their technology was impressive for such a young species, but technology alone did not make something an apex predator. The door to her office made a soft sound as it opened. Her assistant Kelu walked in carrying more reports. His 4 arms were full of data tablets, and his scaled face showed the same confusion that Nara felt. Kelu set the tablets down on her desk with a heavy thud. More reports from the observation teams. Commander, the analysis is complete. What did they find? Nara asked, though she already knew the answer would not make her happy. The same thing we found last month, Kelu replied. His voice carried that tone that meant bad news. Humans appear to be the only sentient species on Earth. They have no natural predators that could threaten an adult human. The largest predators on their planet are things called tigers and bears, but humans have pushed these creatures into small areas where they cannot bother human settlements. Nara felt her head start to hurt. This made no sense. Every world with intelligent life had apex predators. They were part of the natural order. The strongest hunters kept other species from growing too large and taking over everything. Without apex predators, ecosystems collapsed and planets died. But Earth was thriving. She opened another file and looked at pictures of Earth's wildlife. There were huge creatures called elephants that weighed more than most spaceships. There were hunters called lions that could run faster than human vehicles. There were sea monsters called sharks that had teeth like knives. All of these creatures looked more like apex predators than humans did. So why were the humans in charge? Maybe we are missing something, Nara said to Kelu. Maybe there is some creature we have not found yet, something that lives in deep caves or under the oceans. Something that hunts humans and keeps them in check. Kelu shook his head. Commander, we have scanned every corner of that planet. Our sensors can detect life forms hiding under miles of rock or water. If there was an apex predator on Earth, we would have found it by now. Nara stood up and walked to her window again. Earth hung in space below them, looking peaceful and blue. She could see the brown and green patterns of continents and the white swirls of clouds. It looked like a paradise world, not the home of dangerous predators. Her communication device made a sound that meant an important message was coming. She pressed the button, and the hologram of Council Leader Beck appeared in her office. His tall blue form looked serious even through the fuzzy projection. Commander Nara, the Council has made a decision about Earth. What kind of decision, sir? Nara asked. We are going to make first contact with the humans, Beck said, but we must follow proper protocol before we can establish diplomatic relations. We need to meet with their apex predator. This is standard procedure for all new species. Nara felt her stomach drop. Sir, I am not sure that will be possible. Why not? Because we cannot find Earth's apex predator, Nara said. The words felt strange. Coming out of her mouth, we have been searching for months, but there is no creature on Earth that fits the profile of a dominant predator. Beck's hologram flickered as he leaned forward. What do you mean you cannot find it? Every world has apex predators. They must be hiding, or perhaps they live in a part of the planet you have not searched yet, sir. We have searched everywhere, Nara said, trying to keep her voice steady. The only dominant species on Earth is humans themselves. The hologram was quiet. For a long moment, then Beck began to laugh. It was not a happy sound, but the kind of laugh that meant someone had said something very stupid. Commander, the humans cannot be apex predators. Look at them. They are small, weak creatures with no natural weapons. They look like prey animals, not hunters. I know, sir, but the evidence is wrong, Beck interrupted. There must be some creature you have missed. Some terrible beast that hunts humans. Perhaps it only comes out at certain times or lives in places your scanners cannot reach. Nara looked at Kelu, who was listening to the conversation with his mouth open. Both of them knew there was no hidden predator on Earth. They had looked everywhere, used every kind of scanner, and searched every environment from the deepest ocean trenches to the highest mountain peaks, sir. Nara said carefully, what if the humans really are the apex predator of their world? Impossible. Beck said sharply, look at the data, Commander. Humans have no claws, no fangs, no armor, no poison, no speed advantages. They are obviously a prey species that developed intelligence to avoid being eaten by their planet's real predators. But, sir, if that were true, then what happened to those predators? They are still there, Beck said with confidence. You just have not found them yet. I am sending a diplomatic team to Earth in 1 week. You will arrange a meeting between our ambassadors and Earth's apex predator. This is not a request, Commander, it is an order. The hologram disappeared, leaving Nara and Kelu alone in the office. The silence felt heavy, like the air before a storm. What are we going to do? Kelu asked. Nara looked at the files scattered across her desk. All the evidence pointed to the same impossible conclusion. Humans were Earth's dominant species, but they did not look like any apex predator she had ever seen. We are going to follow orders, she said finally. We will contact the humans and ask them to bring their apex predator to meet with the council. And if they say they are the apex predator, then we will find out if the council is ready to believe something that should not be possible. Nara turned back to the window and looked down at Earth again. The blue planet spun slowly in the darkness, looking as peaceful as ever, but something was bothering her, something about the way human cities were laid out, the way they had spread across every continent, the way they seemed to have no fear of anything on their world. Maybe the humans really were apex predators. Maybe they just hunted in ways that other species could not understand. Maybe being the most dangerous thing on a planet did not always mean having the biggest teeth or the sharpest claws. Maybe sometimes it meant something else entirely. She would find out soon enough. The council wanted to meet Earth's apex predator, and she had a feeling that meeting was going to be very different from what anyone expected. Nara sat in silence, staring at the holographic images that still floated above the table. The ancient humans in the display had looked primitive and weak, but the results of their hunting were undeniable. Massive creatures lay dead in the grass, brought down by tiny bipedal hunters with simple tools. This is just the beginning, Dr. Soyon said softly. These early hunting techniques were how we learned to be predators, but humans did not stop there. The hologram shifted, showing human settlements, growing larger human populations spreading across every continent on Earth. And everywhere humans went, the large animals disappeared. We call it the Pleistocene extinction, Young Ho explained, still in that calm, quiet voice whenever humans arrived. In a new area, about 70% of the large animal species went extinct within a few thousand years. 70%, Nara repeated, sometimes more. Captain Minho added, in some areas we eliminated every large predator and most of the large prey animals as well. We reshaped entire ecosystems to serve human needs, the hologram showed. Mammoth graveyards where massive creatures had been systematically hunted to extinction. It showed cave paintings of humans celebrating victories over creatures that no longer existed anywhere on Earth. It showed human settlements built on the bones of species that had ruled their environments for millions of years. But this was survival hunting, Nara said desperately. You needed food to live. Ambassador Ji-hoon shook his head. Commander, this goes far beyond survival. We eliminated species that we never ate, animals that posed no threat to us. Creatures that lived in areas we did not even want to inhabit. Why? Nara asked. Because they existed, Young-ho said simply. Because they competed with us for space or resources, because they might someday become a problem, because we could. The hologram changed again. Now it showed more recent human history, towns growing into cities, cities growing into massive urban areas. Forests being cut down to make room for human settlements, entire landscapes transformed from wild ecosystems into human-controlled environments. We did not just hunt individual animals, Dr. Soyoung explained. We hunted entire species, we hunted ecosystems. We hunted the concept of wilderness itself. Look at this, engineer Haijin pointed to an image of modern Earth from space. The planet was covered with a network of human structures, roads and cities and farms stretched across every continent. Even the areas that looked wild were managed and controlled by human activity. Your planet looks like it has been completely conquered, Nara said. Because it has been, Captain Minho replied. We own every useful piece of land on Earth. We control the climate, the water supply, and the food distribution systems for most other species. We decide which animals live and which ones die. The hologram showed human agriculture, vast fields of identical crops stretching to the horizon, massive facilities where thousands of animals were kept for food production, oceans being systematically emptied of fish by human fishing fleets. We do not just hunt wild animals anymore. Ambassador Ji-hoon explained. We breed animals specifically to kill them. We have turned hunting into an industrial process. The numbers were staggering. Humans killed billions of animals every year, not for sport or defense, but simply for food. The scale of the killing was beyond anything Nara had ever imagined. But surely this is just for survival, Nara said. You need to eat. Dr. Soyoung activated another display. This showed human food waste. Massive amounts of meat and other animal products being thrown away because humans had killed more animals than they could actually eat. We kill far more than we need, she said. It is not about survival anymore. It is about convenience and preference, and the simple fact that we can. Nara felt sick. The casual way the humans discussed mass killing was disturbing. They talked about eliminating entire species the way most people talked about gardening or maintenance work. What about the large predators on your world? Nara asked. The tigers and bears we observed in our scanzo, those, Young-ho said with something that might have been amusement. We keep them around because some humans find them interesting, but they only exist in small protected areas that we control. If we wanted them gone, they would be gone within a few decades. Show her the numbers, Captain Minho suggested. The hologram displayed statistics about Earth's remaining wildlife. There were fewer than 4,000 tigers left on the entire planet, less than 500,000 elephants, maybe 30,000 polar bears. The numbers were tiny compared to human population. Every large predator species on Earth exists only because humans allow it to exist, Dr. Soyoung explained. We could eliminate all of them anytime we choose to do so. The implications were terrifying. Nara realized she was looking at a species that had achieved complete ecological dominance, not through physical superiority, but through systematic elimination of all competition. But what about other humans, she asked. Do you hunt your own species? The hologram changed one more time. Now it showed human warfare battles between groups of humans that made the hunting of animals look small by comparison. Cities burning, entire populations fleeing from advancing armies. Weapons designed not just to kill but to destroy everything in vast areas. Yes, Ambassador Ji-hoon said. Simply, we hunt each other too when resources become scarce or when we have ideological differences, or sometimes just because we think other humans have something we want. The scale of human-on-human violence was staggering. Wars that killed millions of people, conflicts that destroyed entire civilizations, weapons powerful enough to sterilize entire continents. In the last century alone, Young-ho explained, humans killed over 100 million other humans in wars. This does not count individual murders or deaths from human-caused famines and diseases. Nara could not process these numbers. They were too large, too brutal. She was looking at a species that had turned killing into an art form. Commander, Dr. Soyoung said gently, I think you are beginning to understand what we mean when we say humans are apex predators. Nara looked around the room at the 5 humans. They still appeared small and harmless, but now she could see something else, the way they sat so calmly while discussing mass extinction, the patient confidence in their voices when they talked about eliminating entire species. The complete absence of guilt or regret about any of it. You are not just apex predators, she said slowly. You are the most successful predators in the galaxy. We might be, Ambassador Ji-hoon agreed, but we are just getting started. Nara repeated. Engineer Hyjin smiled. Earth is becoming crowded. Commander, we have used up most of the easily available resources on our planet. We need more space, more materials, more worlds to reshape according to our needs. The hologram showed human space exploration plans. Massive ships being designed to carry human populations to other worlds, terraforming technologies that could reshape entire planets, mining operations that could strip worlds bare of useful materials. We are looking at the galaxy the same way our ancestors looked at empty continents, Captain Minho explained, as territory to be claimed and resources to be exploited. Nara felt a chill that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature systems. The humans were not just apex predators on their own world. They were preparing to become apex predators on every world they could reach. And what about species that already live on those worlds? Shia Skid Young-ho's expression did not change. What about them? What will happen to them? The same thing that happened to the species that lived on Earth before humans arrived, he said. If they are useful, we will domesticate them. If they are not useful, we will eliminate them. If they resist, we will hunt them to extinction. The casual way he said it made Nara's blood freeze. This was not a threat or a boast. It was simply a statement of fact about how humans dealt with other life forms. Commander, Ambassador Ji-hoon said, are you satisfied that humans qualify as apex predators? Nara looked at the data still floating above the table, the numbers of extinct species, the scale of human domination over their planet, the plans for expansion into space. Yes, she whispered. I am satisfied. Good, Dr. Soyoung said, because we would very much like to meet the other apex predators in the galaxy. Other apex predators. Nara repeated. The species that dominate their home worlds, Captain Minho clarified. The ones that sit at the top of their local food chains. We are curious about their hunting methods. Nara realized with growing horror that the humans were not just planning to colonize empty worlds, they were planning to compete with every other predator species in the galaxy, and they had just demonstrated that they were very good at eliminating competition. The holographic images finally faded, leaving the meeting room. Feeling strangely empty, Nara sat in stunned silence, trying to process what she had just learned. The 5 humans watched her with patient expressions, as if they were waiting for her to catch up to something they had always known. Commander, Dr. Soyoung said gently, are you feeling all right? Nara realized she was shaking. Her hands trembled as she reached for her water container. She took a long drink, trying to steady her nerves. The liquid tasted metallic and strange. I need to contact my superiors, she said finally. This information changes everything about first contact protocols, of course, Ambassador Ji-hoon replied. We understand this must be overwhelming for you. Overwhelming was not a strong enough word. Nara had studied dozens of apex predator species from across the galaxy. She had seen hunters that could tear through metal with their claws, venomous creatures that could kill with a single bite, armored beasts that could survive direct weapons fire. None of them had achieved anything close to the level of systematic domination that humans had accomplished on Earth. She activated her communication system and tried to call Council Leader Beck. The holographic projector flickered for a moment before his tall blue form appeared above the table. His expression showed mild irritation at being interrupted. Commander Nara, what is the status of your meeting with the humans? Sir, Nara said carefully. I need to report some unusual findings about Earth's ecosystem. What kind of findings? The humans are not lying about being apex predators, sir. In fact, they may be the most successful predator species we have ever encountered. Beck's hologram shifted as he leaned forward dismissively. Commander, you are allowing these creatures to intimidate you with their primitive storytelling. Look at them. They are obviously harmless. With respect, sir, I think you should review the data they have provided, Nara said. The scale of their ecological impact is unlike anything in our databases. Beck glanced at the humans who sat quietly listening to the conversation. None of them showed any reaction to being discussed, as if they were not present. Their calm patience somehow made them seem more threatening than if they had been angry or defensive. These small, soft creatures, Beck said, with obvious skepticism. What could they possibly have done that would impress the Galactic Council? Young-ho finally spoke up, his voice still carrying that disturbing, calm council leader. Would you like a demonstration of human problem-solving methods? What kind of demonstration? Beck asked. Captain Minho activated the human's portable holographic projector again. This time the display showed technical specifications for human weapons. Nuclear missiles that could destroy entire cities. Chemical weapons that could kill millions of people. Biological weapons that could eliminate entire species. These are just some of the tools humans have developed for conflict resolution, Captain Minho explained. Conflict resolution, Nara repeated weakly. When other species refuse to coexist peacefully, Dr. Soyeon clarified, we have methods for resolving the situation permanently. The holographic display showed the effects of these weapons: cities reduced to radioactive wastelands, forests dead from chemical contamination, populations wiped out by engineered diseases. The destruction was complete and systematic. Council leader Beck's hologram flickered as if the transmission was having trouble. His expression had changed from dismissive amusement to something that looked like concern. Those are theoretical weapons, he said uncertainly. Surely you have never actually used such devices. Oh, but we have, Engineer Hyjin said helpfully. We have used nuclear weapons in warfare. We have deployed chemical weapons against enemy populations. We have released biological agents to eliminate both human enemies and competing animal species. The holographic display showed historical footage of nuclear explosions, cities disappearing in blasts of fire and radiation. Massive craters where population centers used to exist, landscapes transformed into uninhabitable wastelands. We found that conventional warfare was taking too long, Ambassador Ji-hoon explained. So we developed more efficient methods of eliminating opposition. More efficient methods, Nara whis. 2 hours later, Nara stood alone in her private quarters staring out at the stars. The meeting with the humans had ended with polite discussions of trade agreements and cultural exchange programs, but she could not stop thinking about the casual way they had described global destruction. Her door chimed softly. Kelu entered carrying a datapad and wearing an expression of barely controlled panic. Commander, he said, we have a problem. What kind of problem? Nara asked, though she suspected she already knew. The council has received our preliminary report about the humans. Several members are demanding an immediate demonstration of human combat capabilities. Nara felt her stomach drop. Which members? War Chief Ganak of the Korth delegation thinks the humans are bluffing about their predatory abilities. The Veth Crystal speakers believe the historical data was exaggerated, and the Hive Collective wants to test human tactical responses under pressure. This was exactly what Nara had been afraid of. The most militaristic members of the council could not accept that small soft humans could pose any real threat. They were going to challenge humanity to prove their claims. What kind of demonstration are they requesting? She asked. Standard Apex Predator protocols, Kelu replied. Combat trials, hunting exhibitions, and strategic warfare simulations. The council wants to see humans demonstrate their killing abilities in controlled conditions. Controlled conditions. Nara repeated the phrase suddenly. Seemed very optimistic. Commander, there is something else, Kelu said nervously. The humans have agreed to the demonstration. Nara spun around to face him. What do you mean they agreed, Ambassador? Ji-hoon sent a formal response 20 minutes ago accepting the council's challenge. He said humans would be happy to demonstrate their predatory capabilities under any conditions the council considers appropriate. This was a disaster. Nara had seen enough human military history to know that their idea of appropriate demonstration would probably involve massive destruction. The council members who had demanded this test had no idea what they were asking for. Did the humans specify what kind of demonstration they prefer? She asked. Yes, Kelu consulted his datapad. They requested permission to bring additional personnel and equipment from Earth. They said they wanted to provide a comprehensive overview of human hunting methods. Additional personnel. Nara felt a chill run down her spine. How many additional personnel? They did not specify exact numbers, but they mentioned bringing examples of different human military specializations. Nara closed her eyes and tried to think. The 5 humans currently on her ship had already demonstrated knowledge of weapons that could sterilize planets. If they brought military specialists, the demonstration might result in the complete destruction of the council fleet. I need to speak with Council Leader Beck immediately, she said. The holographic communication System activated and Beck's image appeared in the room. He looked excited rather than concerned, which worried Nara even more. Commander Nara, excellent news. The Council has approved the human demonstration. We are all very curious to see what these small creatures think they can accomplish, Sir. Nara said carefully. I strongly recommend reconsidering this decision. The humans have already shown us weapons capable of planetary destruction weapons. They claim to possess. Beck corrected, we have only seen holographic presentations. Anyone can create impressive visual displays. The Council needs to see actual capabilities. What if their actual capabilities match their claims? Nara asked. Then we will know to take them seriously, Beck replied, but until we see real evidence, the Council remains skeptical that such primitive-looking creatures could pose any significant threat. Nara realized that no amount of argument would change his mind. The Council members had spent their entire lives as apex predators on their own worlds. They could not conceive of being challenged by something that looked as harmless as humans. When is this demonstration scheduled to take place? She asked. Tomorrow. War Chief Ganak has prepared a series of tests that should provide adequate evaluation of human abilities. What kind of test? Standard predator assessments, Beck said dismissively. Individual combat trials, group hunting simulations, territorial defense scenarios, nothing that any real apex predator could not handle easily. Nara wanted to point out that humans did not fight like normal predators. They did not engage in fair combat or follow rules about appropriate behavior. But she knew Beck would not listen. Sir, what if the humans refused to follow standard protocols? Why would they refuse? Beck asked. They are the ones claiming to be apex predators. If they cannot demonstrate those abilities under controlled conditions, then their claims are obviously false unless their abilities are so overwhelming that controlled conditions become meaningless. Nara thought, but did not say. The transmission ended, leaving Nara alone with her growing sense of dread. She had read enough human military history to know that they did not do well with restrictions or artificial limitations. When challenged, they tended to respond with disproportionate force. Her communication system activated again. This time it was Ambassador Ji-hoon calling from the human ship. Commander Nara, he said politely, we wanted to thank you for arranging tomorrow's demonstration. Ambassador, she began. I think there may be some misunderstanding about what the Council is expecting. What kind of misunderstanding? They are planning standard apex predator protocols, she explained. Individual combat trials and hunting simulations under controlled conditions with safety restrictions. Ambassador Ji-hoon was quiet for a moment. Oh, he said finally, I see the problem. What problem? Commander, humans do not really do controlled conditions or safety restrictions. When we demonstrate our abilities, we prefer to show them fully. Nara felt her hands start to shake. What does that mean exactly? It means we will give the Council an honest demonstration of human predatory behavior. Young-ho's voice came from the background. If they want to see how humans hunt, we will show them exactly how humans hunt, including the parts about eliminating competition. Dr. Soyoung added helpfully, and the efficiency improvements we have developed over the centuries. Captain Minho said. Nara realized that the humans were planning to treat the demonstration as a real predatory encounter. They were going to apply their systematic elimination methods to the Council members who had challenged them. Ambassador, please, she said, this is supposed to be a diplomatic demonstration, not actual combat. Ambassador Ji-hoon sounded genuinely confused. Commander, if your Council wants to evaluate human predatory abilities, why would they want an artificial demonstration that would not provide accurate information about our capabilities? Because they do not want to be killed, Nara said desperately. Then they should not have challenged apex predators to prove their hunting abilities. Young-ho replied reasonably. The communication ended, leaving Nara staring at the blank holographic projector. She had less than 24 hours to find a way to prevent the most powerful military council in the galaxy from being systematically eliminated by 5 humans with unlimited access to their home planets. Military resources, she was beginning to think 24 hours might not be enough time. Tomorrow was going to be very interesting. The main combat arena aboard the Council flagship was designed to showcase the martial prowess of member species. It was a massive circular chamber with energy shields that could contain even the most destructive apex predators. The arena floor was made of reinforced metal that could withstand plasma weapons, and the observation galleries were protected by Barriers that had never been breached. Nara stood in the central observation booth, watching as technicians made final preparations for the demonstration. Around her, the most powerful beings in the galaxy settled into their viewing positions. War Chief Ganak of the Korth delegation dominated one entire section, his 3-meter frame covered in natural armor plating that gleamed. Under the arena lights, the crystalline Veth speakers occupied another area, their transparent bodies sparkling like living diamonds. The insectoid hive collective buzzed and clicked in harmonic conversation while Council Leader Beck supervised the proceedings from his elevated command position. All of them looked confident. All of them were about to make a terrible mistake. The arena doors opened and the 5 humans walked in. They looked exactly the same as they had during their first meeting. Small, soft, bipedal creatures wearing simple clothing and carrying what appeared to be basic equipment bags. The contrast between their appearance and the massive armored council members was almost comical. War Chief Ganak rose to his full height, his voice booming through the arena. So these are the creatures that claim to be Earth's apex predators. Ambassador Ji-hoon looked up at the towering alien warrior and performed a polite bow. War Chief Ganak, we are honored by this opportunity to demonstrate human capabilities. Ganak laughed, a sound like grinding metal. You will have that opportunity, little creature. I have prepared tests that will show the council what real predators look like. What kind of tests, Dr. Soyoung asked with obvious interest. Individual combat trials. First, Ganak announced, you will face members of different council species in single combat. Then group hunting scenarios where you will attempt to capture designated prey. Finally, territorial defense, where you must protect a position against multiple attackers. The humans looked at each other with those same unreadable expressions Nara was beginning to dread. Those sound like interesting challenges, Captain Minho said. However, we should clarify something about human combat doctrine. What clarification? Ganak demanded. Humans do not fight fair duels, Young-ho explained. We do not engage in sporting contests or ceremonial combat. When humans fight, we fight to permanently eliminate threats. The arena fell silent for a moment. Council Leader Beck leaned forward in his command chair. This is a controlled demonstration, he said. There will be safety protocols and non-lethal restrictions. Engineer Haijin tilted her head slightly. Council Leader, human weapons do not have non-lethal settings. What do you mean? When we bring weapons to combat situations, they are designed to kill efficiently. We do not carry equipment intended to wound or incapacitate. War Chief Ganak's armored plates shifted as he moved. This is unacceptable. You will use the arena's standard training weapons. The humans exchanged glances again. Ambassador Ji-hoon spoke carefully. War Chief, we appreciate your concern for safety, but human combat effectiveness depends on using our own tools and methods. You will follow arena protocols, Ganek insisted, or forfeit the demonstration. Very well, Young-ho said, reaching into his equipment bag. If you insist on standard protocols, we will adapt. He pulled out what looked like a simple metal tool and held it casually at his side. The other humans also reached into their bags, producing items that appeared harmless but somehow made Nara very nervous. Let the first combat trial begin, Beck announced. A Korth warrior will demonstrate proper predatory combat techniques. One of Ganak's subordinates entered the arena. The creature was nearly as large as Ganak himself, with the same natural armor plating and massive clawed hands. He moved with the confidence of a species that had never encountered anything they could not physically dominate. Dr. Soyoung stepped forward to meet him. She looked tiny next to the armored giant, but her posture was relaxed and confident. Begin, Beck commanded. The Korth warrior charged forward with surprising speed. For such a large creature, his claws extended as he reached for the small human who should have been crushed instantly. Dr. Soyoung sidestepped the charge with minimal effort and touched something on the metal tool in her hand. There was a brief, high-frequency sound, and suddenly the Korth warrior stopped moving. His armor plating cracked with small snapping sounds, and he collapsed to the arena floor. The arena was completely silent. Dr. Soyoung walked over to the fallen warrior and checked his vital signs. He is unconscious, she announced. His armor resonated at its natural frequency, and the binding compounds failed. The shock knocked him out. But he should recover within a few hours, Ganak whispered. Harmonic resonance frequency analysis, Captain Minho explained. We studied the technical specifications of Korth armor during our preliminary meeting yesterday. The natural crystalline structure has a specific vulnerability to targeted sound waves. You analyzed our defenses. War Chief Ganak's voice carried notes of shock. Of course, Ambassador. Yun said, sounding surprised that this was unexpected. Standard human combat preparation involves comprehensive analysis of enemy capabilities, the Veth speakers. Crystalline voice rang with harmonic distress. We are not enemies. You challenged us to combat, Young-ho pointed out reasonably. From a human perspective, that makes you potential threats, but this was supposed to be a demonstration, not real combat. Council Leader Beck protested. It is a demonstration. Dr. Soyang agreed. You asked us to show you human predatory abilities. This is how humans eliminate threats. The implications were sinking in around the arena. The humans had spent less than 24 hours analyzing the Council's defenses and had already developed methods to neutralize their most powerful warriors. What about the group hunting scenario? War Chief Ganak asked, though his voice had lost its earlier confidence. The arena floor open to release several automated drones designed to test hunting coordination. The machines were fast and well-armed, presenting a challenge that required teamwork and tactical thinking to overcome the 5 humans spread out across the arena floor. Moving with practiced efficiency, Engineer Haijin produced a small device from her bag and activated it. Suddenly, the drone stopped moving and fell to the ground with metallic crashes. Electromagnetic pulse weapon, she explained, neutralizes all electronic systems within a 50-meter radius. The hunting test had lasted exactly 12 seconds. The final scenario involved defending a position against multiple attackers. More drones emerged from the arena walls along with several automated defense systems. The humans were supposed to hold a designated area while under sustained attack. Captain Minho activated another device and suddenly every automated system in the arena shut down. The lights went out, the energy shields deactivated, and even the air circulation stopped working. Emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in red. Computer virus, Young-ho explained, targeting all network systems. We uploaded it during our initial scan of your ship's infrastructure. The arena was now completely dark except for the emergency lights. The most advanced combat facility in the galaxy had been reduced to a powerless metal box in less than 30 seconds. In the silence that followed, Ambassador Jihun's voice carried clearly through the arena. Council Leader Beck, do you accept that humans qualify as apex predators? Nara looked around at the council members. War Chief Ganak stood frozen in shock, his natural confidence shattered. The Veth speakers were flickering with rapid color changes that indicated extreme distress. The Hive Collective had gone completely silent. Council Leader Beck finally spoke, his voice barely audible. Yes, I accept it. Excellent, Dr. Soyeon said. We look forward to productive relationships with all council species. What kind of relationships? The Veth speaker asked nervously. That depends, Engineer Haijin replied. Do you prefer cooperation or competition? Cooperation, War Chief Ganak said quickly. Definitely cooperation, then we should have no problems. Captain Minho said, the humans always prefer diplomatic solutions when they serve our interests. As the arena lights slowly came back online, Nara realized that everything had changed. The Galactic Council had just learned that they were no longer the dominant predators in their part of the galaxy. That distinction now belonged to a species that looked harmless, but could eliminate any opposition with terrifying efficiency. The humans had not just demonstrated their predatory abilities. They had proven that they could neutralize the entire council fleet without breaking a sweat. Ambassador Jihun walked over to the observation booth and looked up at Council Leader Beck. When would be convenient to discuss the terms of human membership in the galactic community? He asked politely. Immediately, Beck replied. Nara watched as the 5 humans calmly packed their equipment and prepared for formal negotiations. They had just announced to the galaxy that humanity was ready to take its place as apex predators among the stars, and everyone else was going to have to learn to live with that.